Episode 13, Roxy, the Seventh Fairy. We continue where we left off from the previous episode, where Roxy, now transformed, is crying over Artu's body, with the Winx and Specialist defending her. Oberon threatened the Winx and Specialist that they will do whatever it takes to get Roxy. But as soon as he and Gatlos began to charge, Brandon and Sky jumped in and blocked their attacks with their swords, and soon the other Specialists joined in. Timmy advised Stella to transport her and the other Winx somewhere safe and away from the city. Bloom doesn't approve of this, saying that they can't leave them to handle the wizards alone. Naboo intervened, reminding Bloom that she and the others are still magically weak against the wizards, and protecting Roxy and Artu top priority. Bloom reluctantly agrees, followed by Stella summoning her scepter to teleport herself, the girls, and Artu to another location. After they're teleported, Oberon immediately ordered the others to hunt the Winx down and to bring back Roxy at all costs. Little do they know, while in battle, Timmy planted a small tracking device on each of them to find. Sky then used his communicator to contact Balloon to let her and the others know that the wizards are on their way to find Roxy. Techno then pinpointed their location, and Naboo used his magic to teleport the guys to the girls. Once the guys arrive at the location near a cavern, the Specialists along with the Winx watch sadly as they saw Roxy continue to cry over Artu's body, where she said how brave he was, and this is exactly why she didn't want him or her loved ones to be involved in any of this. As soon as Musa and Bloom walked over to console her, Roxy turned around and snapped at them, angrily telling them how this is their fault and how she'd not met any of them, none of this would have happened, and wished to no longer be a fairy. Tears were forming down her face as she began crying, saying that she wished she could turn back time to prevent all of this from happening. Bloom tried to console her and told her that these tests and hardships are hard, and she will soon face as a fairy, for a fairy lives for others. She never lives for herself. Hearing this, understandably, pissed Roxy off and chewed at Bloom about her insufferable self-righteousness and told her to leave her alone. Aisha intervened to tell Bloom that this is not the best time to give lessons speeches, and a poor one at that. For Roxy is upset and needed space, which does make Bloom get defensive and try to defend herself, but cut herself off and agreed to leave Roxy alone. Flora and Techno went over to Artu to check up on him and hear both a heartbeat and breathing. They speculated that he's been put in a deep sleep based on the analysis that Techno did, but said that he's still alive, which later we see Roxy smiling for a bit. Stella advised that Bloom and Naboo should watch over Roxy while they deal with the fairy hunters, and that Bloom should use her dragon flame to awaken Artu. The other Winx Specialists ventured out in the forest to find and stop the wizards. We see various scenes back and forth where each of the Winx and Specialists, now in groups of 4, find and encounter one of the wizards. Some were shown to have outsmarted them and beat Pacific wizards, while the others were struggling with the others. Flora, Techna, Brandon, and Riven were dealing with Anakin, who was shown to be difficult to pin down due to his incredible speed. Stella, Musa, Helia, and Timmy faced Dumont and Gatlos and managed to bring them down by Stella using her sun magic to temporarily blind him, followed with Musa using her sound waves to push cars and other objects towards them and brought him down. With Dumont, now disguised himself as Brandon, is trying to manipulate Stella, but Stella blasted the fake Brandon that transformed back into Dumont in his original form. Dumont says how, then Stella cut himself mid-sentence, saying that Brandon is with Riven, Flora, and Techna, and it's not his style to leave his friends behind. Aisha and Sky, however, are dealing with Oberon and having difficulties taking him down, especially Aisha when using mixed magical martial arts that Naboo taught her. She and Sky did put in an effort, and it looked like they had the upper hand, but they were eventually defeated by Oberon, and he went to find Roxy, Bloom, and Naboo. Aisha informs them immediately through their communicator. Back in the cavern, we see Bloom using her healing magic to awaken Artu, but she is seen struggling and even sweating in the process. Bloom said that the wizard's magic is difficult to break, and saying that the dark magic feels somewhat familiar, but can't put her finger onto it. Roxy kneeled in front of Bloom, begged and pleaded with her to try to wake Artu. Naboo also encouraged her to try again, telling her that she's always been a fighter and not one to give up so easily. He He further added for her to remember the time she conjured up all her power and will to save Sky from a potential death back in season 2 when Icy struck his heart with her magic. Bloom then took deep breaths and tried again and channeled all her focus and power to awaken Artu. We see Bloom sweating more than before and screaming in agony using all of her power, which eventually did remove the curse from Artu and awakened him. Unfortunately, this did cause Bloom to weaken so much that she detransformed and collapsed on the ground. Naboo and Roxy rushed to her aid to see if she was alright. While lifting her, Naboo got a call via communicator from Aisha alerting them that they failed to defeat Oberon and he was coming their way. He asked that she and the others get here immediately after explaining what happened to Bloom, but unfortunately, Oberon appeared before them and began to attack. Back in the forest, we see that Aisha and Sky hearing Oberon beginning to attack, and they immediately communicated to the others that they need to head back to the cavern, for Roxy, Bloom, Artu, and Naboo are in danger. Aisha and Sky begin to fly while in the next scene, we see that Stella summoning her scepter to transport the others to get Flora, Tekna, Brandon, and Riven, and they quickly head to the cave. We follow back to the cave where we see Naboo doing everything in his power to defend and protect both Bloom and Roxy. Bloom weakly got up and transformed. Roxy urged her not to head out and fight before she is too weak, to which Bloom said that that may be true, but she's here to protect her, explaining that that's what friends do. They defend and protect you at all costs, no matter what. That's what she and the others are doing for her, which made Roxy pause for a bit. Bloom also wanted to apologize to Roxy earlier. She was trying to be her best to console her, but admits that it came across as insensitive and tone deaf on her part. Then flew to help Naboo. Bloom then used her magic to levitate boulders to strike at Oberon and tag team with Naboo. She then told Roxy to run along with Artu while they pulled Oberon back, but they were worn out and Oberon using his power to knock them both out, causing Bloom to change back into her civilian form again. He then turned his eyes on Roxy and began taunting her of how alone she is and forced her to decide to either give herself up or watch Artu and her friends die in front of her. Roxy began crying, saying that this isn't happening and feels trapped and powerless. The mysterious voice appears again to her, telling her that people are what they choose to be, and that she is the fairy of animals. She also says that she has untapped potential and tells her to not to be afraid, to stand up and fight, and said to open herself to the energy of the earth circling around her. Roxy got up and channeled her power and blasted Oberon, only for him to redirect and attack her back at her, as she fell. The voice encouraged her to get up once more and channel the earth's energy around her again. We see that the white magic energy that protects her begin to engulf around her, and a wisp-like figure appearing behind her, and together focus their power to directly hit Oberon, which showed to hurt him. He began to scream as the magic severely burned and injured him. The other wizards teleported immediately ran to Oberon's aid as they saw him injured. Just in the nick of time, we see the other Winx specialists arrive and began to surround the wizards yet again. Dumont told his fellow wizards that they have a chance to take him out, but Gant was argued that they're outnumbered and reminded him that Oberon is severely hurt and they must retreat once again. He responded to the Winx specialists that they were lucky this time, but they'll be back, and they teleported out of there. Afterwards, we see Stella and Tekna hurrying to Bloom's aid, and Aisha and Riven goes to Naboo. Sky asked how on earth Oberon sustained such injury, to which Naboo responded that it was Roxy who delivered the final blow, which shocked a lot of them. Roxy explained that it was the mysterious voice from her dreams who helped her out by channeling her energy through her along with the earth's energy and the white magic that protected her. Mija states how impressive that is, and she saw that Artu is broken free from the curse. But Naboo and Roxy explained that doing so is what caused Bloom to be in the weakened state that she is now. Bloom explained that she doesn't understand how it came to be, but there's something about the wizard's magic that made it difficult for her to shield Artu. She explained that it may possibly have something to do with her Believix magic, or the dark magic itself, for it felt familiar. Tekna then said that this is something they should investigate back at home, another time. Soon, Aisha turned to Roxy and expressed how proud she and the others are that she transformed for the first time, though she wished it was through better circumstances. The gang returned to the Frutti music bar where Klaus and Annabelle are seen speaking with the police regarding Roxy's whereabouts, until they saw her coming in and Klaus ran towards her to hug her and ask where has she been, for he and the others were worried about her. Roxy apologized and said that Artu was in trouble and had to help him, but lost her phone when chasing after him. She explained that when she chased and found him, they were lost on the outskirts, but she heard one of the girls' voices and ran towards them. Bloom soon came up and apologized for not reporting to Klaus nor Annabelle immediately after finding her, but Klaus said that he's just happy that Roxy and Artu are okay. He further then asked Roxy if there's something wrong as of late, for this kind of behavior is unlike her. Roxy said that she was fine, it was just in a situation that was beyond her control, then apologized again. Klaus forgave her but warned her that this is strike two. If she keeps doing something like this and not informing him, he'll have no other choice but to ground her. Klaus then turned to the Winx specialist to thank them for finding his daughter, and again for saving her from the whole Bear Cup incident he saw on the news the other day, but made it clear that they need to be careful when it comes to his daughter, and need them to notify him immediately if something goes wrong. Bloom and Helia said they understood and apologized it will take due diligence to keep her out of trouble, and inform him if anything happens. Klaus says he's glad they're on the same page, and soon the boys were about to return to their shifts. But Klaus says as a reward for helping and finding his daughter, they can take the rest of the day off. This got the girls cheering and asked what they should do. Roxy had an idea. We zoom down to the beach behind the Frutti music bar, where we see the gang celebrating their victory with Roxy and Artu, with Kiko and their fairy pets present. Everyone is seen to have a good time until Aisha noticed Roxy staring at the ocean's horizon. Aisha asked if she was okay, to which Roxy said that she isn't sure. She felt so conflicted after their battle and really thought she lost Artu. She turned to Aisha and asked what if the next time the wizards go after her dad, or Annabelle, or whomever she has ties to. Now she got her father worried about her, which she feared about happening. Aisha, looking at her with sadness, sat next to her and hugged her near the beach. She didn't say anything except, "I'm sorry," to Roxy for all that is happening. Roxy turned to Aisha saying that it's okay and it wasn't her nor any of the gang's fault. She knew they were doing their best based on their actions, but remembered something and got up to speak to Bloom. But before she left, she turned around and hugged Aisha once more and thanked her. Roxy saw Bloom speaking to Sky and asked Sky if she could talk to Bloom alone for a minute, and he gave the girl some space alone. Roxy wanted to apologize to Bloom for lashing out at her back in the cave, but Bloom told her that it's fine and she shouldn't apologize, for she was tone deaf towards Roxy's feelings and was trying to be the mentor she thought Roxy needed. But she realized that she herself isn't too sure what's happening, and I guess she too has a lot of learning to do. Roxy then told her that the first step is to try not to be something that you're not, and be transparent. She always believed that transparency is the best policy. Bloom chuckling, saying that she's absolutely right, and will try not to act so self-righteous next time. Roxy said it's the first steps, and the two soon hugged it out. After their conversation, we heard Brandon calling to them to meet them by the campfire, and the two began walking towards the others. All the Winx specialists, Roxy, and the pets are seen gathering around the campfire, enjoying each other's company, while Musa is seen playing a guitar. Soon all of them were gazing up at the moonlight and stars and seeing a shooting star. Ending this episode.